The serene beauty of Pahalgam, nestled in the heart of the Himalayas, is a sight to behold. With its lush greenery, snow-capped peaks, and tranquil rivers, it has long been a haven for those seeking peace and spiritual solace. However, this serenity was shattered on April 22, 2025, a date now etched in the memories of many. On that fateful day, a group of Hindu pilgrims, their faces alight with devotion and hope, journeyed towards a sacred shrine. They carried offerings and prayers, seeking blessings and peace. Their pilgrimage, however, was brutally cut short. The path that was supposed to lead them to spiritual fulfillment became a road to tragedy. Militants, their hearts filled with hate and their minds clouded by extremism, opened fire. The tranquil valley was transformed into a scene of unimaginable carnage, echoing with the sounds of gunfire and screams. 26 innocent lives were extinguished in an instant, their only crime being their faith and their desire to worship in peace. Families were left shattered, their loved ones taken away in a senseless act of violence. The immediate aftermath was one of shock and grief. Vigils were held, tears were shed, and a community mourned the loss of its members. Across India, anger erupted. The brutal massacre of unarmed civilians ignited a firestorm of outrage. Protests broke out in cities and towns, with people demanding justice and retribution. The government, under immense pressure to act, pointed a finger at Pakistan, accusing it of harboring the perpetrators. The Indian flag flew at half-mast, a symbol of national mourning and resolve. In a series of press conferences, Indian officials declared the attack a stark reminder of Pakistan's long history of sponsoring cross-border terrorism. Anti-terrorism rallies were held, with citizens voicing their support for strong action. Pakistan, however, vehemently denied any involvement. Officials held their own press conferences, refuting the accusations and calling for evidence. The attack, they proclaimed, was a desperate attempt by India to demonize Pakistan and deflect attention from its own human rights violations in Kashmir. Protests erupted in Pakistan as well, with people rallying against what they saw as baseless accusations. The world watched with bated breath as tensions between the two nuclear-armed neighbors escalated to a fever pitch. The border areas saw increased military presence, with both sides on high alert. The Pahalgam attack, a tragic reminder of the volatile relationship between India and Pakistan, has once again brought the two nations to the brink of war. Soldiers patrolled the borders, ready for any eventuality. The specter of violence, dormant for years, has been reawakened, casting a long shadow over the entire region. The once bustling border villages now stand deserted, their residents gripped by fear. The question on everyone's mind, will this be the spark that ignites a conflagration? The world waits, hoping for peace but bracing for the worst. The attack on Pahalgam triggered a series of retaliatory measures and counter-accusations, sending shockwaves through the region and beyond. The immediate aftermath was marked by a palpable tension that gripped both nations as the world watched with bated breath, pushing the two nations further apart. The border, already a symbol of division, now stood as a stark reminder of the deep-seated animosity. The air was thick with uncertainty, as both sides braced for what might come next. India, determined to display its resolve, launched a diplomatic offensive, rallying international condemnation against Pakistan. Indian diplomats worked tirelessly, presenting evidence and making their case to the global community, seeking to isolate Pakistan on the world stage. The Wagah Atari border crossing, a symbol of the fragile peace between the two countries, was sealed shut. This closure not only halted the movement of people, but also served as a powerful statement of the deteriorating relations. Visas issued to Pakistani nationals were revoked, and those residing in India were ordered to leave. The human cost of the political fallout became evident as families were torn apart and lives disrupted. Pakistan, unwilling to be painted as the aggressor, responded in kind. Pakistani officials held press conferences, vehemently denying any involvement and accusing India of fabricating evidence to justify its actions. Trade relations, already strained, were completely severed. The once bustling trading posts now stood deserted, a testament to the economic impact of the escalating conflict. The Indus Water Treaty, a rare example of cooperation between the two nations, was put on hold. This move threatened the water security of millions, adding another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. Pakistan's Prime Minister, addressing the nation, warned of dire consequences if India resorted to military action. His speech was a mix of defiance and a call for unity, as he sought to rally his people in the face of mounting pressure. The international community, alarmed by the escalating tensions, urged both sides to exercise restraint. Diplomatic channels buzzed with activity as world leaders sought to mediate and prevent a full-scale conflict. The United States, traditionally an ally of India, called for a de-escalation of hostilities and a return to dialogue. American diplomats emphasized the importance of maintaining regional stability and avoiding actions that could lead to war. China, a close partner of Pakistan, echoed these sentiments, emphasizing the need for a peaceful resolution. Chinese officials highlighted the potential for catastrophic consequences if the situation were to spiral out of control. Yet, despite the calls for calm, the situation remained volatile. The border areas were tense, with soldiers on high alert and the threat of violence ever present. Both armies were placed on high alert, their fingers hovering over the trigger. The possibility of a military confrontation loomed large, casting a shadow over the entire region. The line of control, a constant reminder of the divided land and the animosity it breeds, once again became a flashpoint, with reports of ceasefire violations and cross-border shelling. The fragile peace was shattered, and the specter of war loomed ominously on the horizon. To understand the deep-seated animosity between India and Pakistan, one must delve into the heart of the issue, the Kashmir Dispute. This conflict is not just a territorial disagreement, but a complex web of historical, political, and cultural factors that have fueled tensions for decades. This 75-year-old conflict, a legacy of the British Empire's hasty retreat from the subcontinent, has been a constant source of tension and bloodshed. The hurried partition of British India in 1947 left many issues unresolved, with Kashmir being the most contentious. When India and Pakistan gained independence in 1947, the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir faced a dilemma. The region, with its majority Muslim population and Hindu ruler, was caught in a tug-of-war between the two newly formed nations. Its Hindu ruler, Maharaja Hari Singh, initially wished to remain independent, but was forced to accede to India in the face of an invasion by Pashtun tribesmen backed by Pakistan. This decision was a turning point, setting the stage for decades of conflict. This sparked the First Kashmir War, ending in 1949 with a UN-brokered ceasefire line that divided the region. The ceasefire line, known as the Line of Control, left Kashmir divided between India and Pakistan, but the dispute was far from over. Two more wars followed, in 1965 and 1999, neither resolving the underlying dispute. Each conflict only deepened the animosity and mistrust between the two nations, making a peaceful resolution seem increasingly elusive. The Line of Control remains a heavily militarized border, a constant reminder of the unresolved conflict. Both sides maintain a strong military presence with frequent skirmishes and exchanges of fire, keeping the region on edge. Both countries claim Kashmir in its entirety, viewing it as integral to their national identity. For India, Kashmir is seen as a symbol of its secularism, while for Pakistan, it represents the unfinished business of partition and the plight of Muslims in the region. The dispute has not only led to wars, but also fueled an insurgency in Indian-administered Kashmir, further complicating the situation. The insurgency, which began in the late 1980s, has been marked by violence and human rights abuses on both sides. The insurgency, with alleged support from Pakistan, has claimed thousands of lives and deepened the mistrust between the two nations. The human cost of this conflict is immense, with countless families torn apart and a generation growing up amidst violence and uncertainty. The conflict's impact extends beyond the battlefield, casting a long shadow over economic relations. Trade between India and Pakistan, though hampered by political tensions, has always held the potential for mutual benefit. However, the Pahalgam attack and its aftermath have dealt a severe blow to these fragile economic ties. India, in its retaliatory measures, immediately suspended all trade with Pakistan. This move, while intended to punish Pakistan, will also hurt Indian businesses that rely on Pakistani goods, particularly in the textile and agricultural sectors. The closure of the Wagah-Attari border crossing, a vital trade route, further exacerbates the situation, disrupting supply chains and increasing transportation costs. Pakistan, heavily reliant on trade with India for essential commodities like cotton and pharmaceuticals, will feel the pinch even more acutely. The trade suspension will likely lead to shortages and price hikes, further burdening an already struggling economy. The livelihoods of countless people on both sides of the border, dependent on cross-border trade, hang in the balance.